Welcome back to Dunkadelic. Derek, let's talk a little bit about the birth year of the era, 1984.
Woo. Well, just the headline title name for 1984 is Air Jordan and the Def Jam Remix. And of course, you know, when you think about it, the most influential rap label or the most successful rap label in the history of hip-hop has been Def Jam. And Def Jam was created in 1984. And of course, the great Michael Jordan, he came to the league in 1984. Now, when Jordan came to the league in 1984, there were only 23 teams in the NBA. And of course, we know Jordan wore the number 23.
That's
there
right.
was no Charlotte Bobcats. There was no Memphis Grizzlies, no Miami Heat, no Minnesota Timberwolves, no Orlando Magic, no Toronto Raptors. I think that's those are the 7 teams. And when you think about it, the whole expansion of the NBA occurred during the whole golden age of the Dunkadelic-Era between 1988 and 2003. And of course, 1984, we had 2 big movies that personified the culture. We had Beat Street, and then we had Breakin'. And those movies really touched on the 4 elements of hip-hop, which is MCing, DJing, graffiti, and breaking. Now, if you take basketball,
breakdancing, man.
If you take basketball, you can apply basketball to the 4 elements of hip hop. Now, MCing, that's the point guard. That's the guy that runs the team. He's the one that gets the ball to everybody. He's the one who, you know, just like a MC that's on the mic, he's the one that keeps the flow going. The point guard is the one who can dictate a fast flow, or it can slow the flow down.
Okay.
Okay.
I can go with that.
Okay. Now, if you want to talk about the DJ is the coach. The DJ is the one who determines what music you're going to hear, determine what style of music you're going to hear, or how if it's going to be up tempo, or how to mix it. Now, same thing with a coach. A coach knows how to use the X's and O's, taking sometimes a player that's maybe a little bit more fresh, or maybe got a little tired, takes them out, put people in. So the DJ is the coach. Now, when you talk about breakdancing, now you're talking about guys that know how to handle that rock, like Allen Iverson. That crossover we put on Jordan back in 1997. Michael, no disrespect. But the way he broke his ankles back in 1997, and players like Baron Davis and LeBron James, of course, Kobe Bryant, when he does his bounce move, his spin, half fade away, and then up and under shots. I mean, Kobe has some serious moves. It's almost like a breakdancer, LeBron James. And then when you say graffiti, well, 50 to 60% of the league have tattoos.
Yeah.
So the 4 elements of hip-hop definitely can be applied to basketball.
I never thought of it like that, Derek. Never thought of it like that before.
And of course, you know, 1984, just, you know, Def Jam did their thing. And of course, like we mentioned before, the Fresh Fuss tour. And, you know, that tour was the first major hip-hop concerts tour, going to 27 stops. Grossed $3.5 million. And that was a lot of money to this culture that's become a multi-billion-dollar culture. But back in 1984, that was huge. You know, this whole era, when you think about it, 1984, as we again before, that championship game, Jarvis, between who? Houston, Hakeem Olajuwon,
and the Celtics.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Patrick Ewing,
Sorry, Georgetown.
Pat Ewing. Back then, he was known as Hakeem. You know, and then, of course, he was Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. And, of course, this Houston, this was Five Slamma Jamma, baby. This is when they used to get up, Larry Mishaw, Clyde Drexler, Benny Anders. I mean, those guys used to get at it. But, you know, that was at 1984. And, you know, this was
Georgetown Hoyas.
Georgetown Hoyas, the Hoya Paranoia.
Now, 1985. Now, tell us the headline title of that year.
Oh, Jerry, the King of Rock and the Hoya Paranoia. The King of Rock, we all know who they were. That was Run DMC. Run DMC, it was their debut album. And everybody, the King of Rock, there is none higher. Sucker MC, they call me Sire. I mean, everybody was walking around that. Everybody was walking around saying that all the time. I mean, you know, our lead camera man, Troy, my cousin Troy, he definitely remembers. I mean, we used to run around Sucker MC. Even MTV has Sucker Free Sunday. But that comes from Run DMC. And of course, 1985. Here we go.
I remember
These are the Nike Terminators. Of course, these were worn by the Georgetown Hoyas. Now, Georgetown actually had the word Hoyas on the back that they actually wore. And for the store consumers like myself, we got them that said Nike. But this is Nike Terminator. And this, as I said, mentioned before, this was the blueprint for the Nike Dunk and also the Air Jordan 1. So big ups to John Thompson and Georgetown becoming the first college basketball team with their own signature shoe. Now, Jerry, let's think about it. And if you want to be really hip and cool and fashion, in 1985, you had on the Georgetown starter jacket.
Okay.
Because you got to think about it. The top 5 starter jackets in 1984-85 was the Georgetown Hoyas, North Carolina. Now, who played in the national championship in 1982? North Carolina, Georgetown. Who was the most popular hip-hop ball club, basketball team? Georgetown. Who was the most popular basketball player? Michael Jordan.
Of course.
Now, NBA the 3 NBA jackets, the Celtics. Celtics beating everybody. Larry Bird, 3-time MVP from 84 to 86. The Lakers, of course, Showtime. And the other team, they had the most popular, the Sixers. Because they had who? They had Dr. Fro. So when you think about that, if you wanted to be really cool with your hip-hop urban fashion in 1985, you threw on a starter jacket, a pair of designer jeans.
And a pair.
And a pair of Nike Terminators, Georgetown Hoya Nikes. That's it, Jarvis. I mean, I don't know what more to say. I mean, you know, 1985, I mean, and of course, LL Cool J. Can't forget about LL. LL debut with Rock the Bells. You know, it ever came off his debut album, Radio, which he also had the song I Need a Beat. And I Need a Beat was actually the first single that was produced by Def Jam. So, you know, you had LL Cool J, you also had Run DMC, you had the whole culture of hip-hop, and then you had basketball that was exploding on the scene. So those first 2 years were huge. Huge!
Derek, that's fantastic. Before we close this episode of Dunkadelic TV, we want to introduce a new element to our show. The Dunkadelic TV must read. Each episode, we will feature a book connected to the Dunkadelic era. And this month, it's the Def Jam Incorporated.
Oh, yeah.
And this was written by Stacy, I hope I don't mess up her name, Stacy Giravesa.
Stacy Giravesa, yeah. Stacy Giravesa, that book just came out in 2005. And basically, just what it does, it chronicles the whole Def Jam experience from the beginning when Def Jam was started by Rick Rubin in his New York University dorm in 1984, till how he connected with Russell Simmons when Russell Simmons was a promoter. And he's basically promoting Treacherous 3, not Africa Mabata, but also Curtis Blow. Curtis Blow was really big at the time. We all know Curtis Blow came out with the song Basketball in 1984.
Yeah.
You know, another hook. I don't care how y'all like my rapping or not. Basketball is my favorite sport. I like the way they dribble up and down the court. Just like I'm the king of the microphone, so it's Dr. J and Moses Malone. I mean, everybody remembers that. And so when he dropped that, I mean, people just remember how important that song was to the whole culture of basketball and hip-hop. So now we think about it, we're going to be celebrating 25 years.
25 years.
And I keep saying it, but 25 years, Jarvis, I just can't wait. I think it's just going to be great.
Well, that's awesome, Derek. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Dunkadelic TV. I'm Jairus Cates, your host.
And I'm Derek Vaughn, your co-host.
Good night from Dunkadelic TV.
Where basketball and hip-hop come together as one.